Welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for checking out today's video. In this video we're going to be looking at the focus mode and focus settings in the Sony a6700, explaining the difference between them and how they can help you out in different situations. Now the focus modes in the Sony 6700 can be quite confusing, but I'm going to keep my explanations as simple as possible so you have a better understanding of what works best for you and in what scenario. So let's jump straight into it. We'll be primarily looking at the photography focus modes in the a6700, but these cross over also to the video mode. So we can access the focus modes by going into the Sony's menu, going down to the purple category, AF, MF, and then focus mode. Press the center button and this brings up all our different focus modes. Now sometimes we have to change the focus mode on the fly and as quickly as possible, so an easier way of changing it is by pressing the FN button on the back of the camera and selecting focus mode. This brings up all our options again. So let's take a look at our first focus mode, which is single shot AF. So in single shot AF, if we press our shutter button down halfway, our focus locks onto our subject and the focus is locked into this position. Our focus doesn't change for as long as we're holding the shutter button down halfway. To unlock our focus and reposition our focus, we have to remove our finger from the shutter button and repress it halfway down. Because our focus is locked, this is a great method for recomposing or repositioning your shot. It's the ideal focus mode when your subject is stationary and there is no movement in your shot. Our focus is locked off to a set focal distance and doesn't change. We'll be missing out autofocus next and moving straight on to continuous focus. Now in continuous focus mode, again we have to press our shutter button down halfway. Our camera then focuses onto our subject, and unlike single shot AF, our focus doesn't lock off. It continuously adjusts to match our subject, as shown in this demonstration. This focus mode is great for subjects that are in motion or potentially are going to be in motion. Next we'll move back to automatic autofocus and explain what this does. In this mode again you focus by pressing the shutter button down halfway. Our camera then focuses onto our subject and then automatically detects whether the subject is in motion or stationary and switches between single shot AF and continuous AF. Now I must admit that I very rarely use this focusing method. If there's any doubt that my subject's going to be in motion, I always change to continuous focus mode. But if you are someone that uses this focus method a lot, please let us know what you use it for in the comments below and what are its benefits. Next we're going to move down to DMF, or as I like to call it, D manual focus. Now D manual focus is very similar to single shot autofocus, just with one benefit. Again we have to press our shutter button down halfway to initiate focus. Our focus locks onto our subject. But if we use our focus ring on our lens, we can make precise focus adjustments using this method. So our camera locks its focus onto our subject and then we can make precise adjustments to our focus using the manual focus ring on our lens. This is particularly handy if you're taking a photo of a subject and you have to be 100% sure that your photo is in focus, or if you're doing focus stacking, which we'll be covering in a future video, so make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. You may be saying to yourself that this is a great feature to have on all the time. Well, you're in luck because Sony in their menu system have an option so you can set it to on permanently. With this setting set to on, if we go back to single shot autofocus mode, we can make manual adjustments with our focus ring in this focus mode. The last one in our focus mode list is manual focus. And this one is very simple. Our camera disables all the automatic focus settings and the only way to focus is using the manual focus ring on the lens. This focus mode is great when you want to take 100% control over your camera's focus. Now there is two more focus modes we're going to look at, but they're not in this particular menu setting. The first is touch to focus. This can be accessed in your touch function in shooting menu. Now we have other settings in here which we won't be touching on in this video, but we will be in future videos, so like I said before, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see those. But go to your top option and that is touch focus. This allows us to select our subject by touching the rear screen, pressing our shutter button down halfway, then our focus automatically adjusts to our subject. And bear in mind that this works in conjunction with our previously explained focus modes. Now the final mode we're going to be looking at is the focus tracking mode. Now this is a way for our camera to lock onto a subject or object and track that object throughout the frame without losing focus from it. Now there's various ways to access this and customize it, but Sony have done a fantastic job of already setting it up for us, so we'll be touching on this method only in this video. The way you access this is by pressing the AF on button on the rear of the camera when your subject is in frame. The camera then locks onto our subject, tracking it for as long as you hold in the AF on button. Along with this, the camera then automatically disables the focus by shutter button, and for as long as you're holding in the AF on button, your object or subject will be tracked. And using this method in conjunction with focus area, which we're going to be looking at next, really is why Sony have the best auto-focusing system on the market at the minute. This focus tracking mode is superb for tracking fast moving objects, and is superior in my opinion to the continuous autofocus mode built into the camera. Just bear in mind that the tracking focus and touch focus do not work in manual focus mode. It's also worth pointing out that if you have subject recognition set to on in camera, this is prioritized over any focus mode. You can disable subject recognition in your menu by going down to the purple category, menu 3, subject recognition in autofocus, and switching this to off. So that's a brief look at focus modes and how they work. As you have seen, many of the focus modes in the Sony a6700 overlap each other in terms of their use, and you can use different focus modes to achieve the same results. But now we're going to look at the focus areas and how this works in partnership with our focus mode to achieving better, quicker results. Now we can access all our options of focus area by going down to our purple category again, go into subject 2, which is focus area, and focus area. This brings up all our options. Another way of bringing up our focus area settings is by coming out the menu, pressing on FN on our rear of the camera, and then going to focus area. And for those of you that have stuck around to the end of the video, here's a quick way to access your FN menu, and that is to swipe up on the bottom of the screen. So the first focus area we're going to look at is wide. And what this setting does is pretty much use the whole of your sensor inside your camera to try and determine what subject you want in focus and automatically focus on that subject. Now the downside to using this is if you've got multiple subjects in your shot, the AI inside the camera isn't going to know which subject that you're trying to focus on and can sometimes get it wrong. So what we can do as photographers is change our focus area settings to assist and aid the camera. Our next focus area is zone, and in this mode we get to select roughly 30% of our sensor that we're going to want in focus. In this demonstration you can see that I'm moving the grid boxes around. Anything in them grid boxes will be prioritised for focus. You can move around the zone grid by using the control pad on the rear of the camera. The next focus area we're going to look at is my favourite, and that is center fix. And the way this works, anything in that tiny grid in the middle of our screen, when we press focus, that's what's going to be in focus. This helps out the camera massively by telling it whatever's in this box, we want it to be in focus. Pair this up with our focus tracking mode that I explained earlier, and it's kind of like how a sniper would use a scope on his rifle. The next focus area we're going to look at is spot, and we get to choose 3 different sizes, small, medium or large. This works very similar to center fix, but you get to move the box around using your control pad on the back of the camera. Once you've moved the box over your chosen subject, simply press the tracking focus button or your shutter focus button, and that will tell the camera that that's what you want in focus. And of course you can reposition the box at any time. The next focus area we're going to look at is expand spot. This works very similar to the spot focus area, just with one slight difference. If for whatever reason the camera cannot find focus within our box, it will automatically start looking outside of our box until it comes to the first subject that it can recognise, and it will focus on that spot. And the final focus area we're going to look at is track and expand spot. This works very similar to the expand spot that we just looked at, but you have to be in continuous focus mode as it uses the camera's tracking feature. And again, it tries to look for the subject that it wants in focus in the box. If it can't, then it expands until it can find something to track onto. So there you have it, a look into the Sony a6700's focus settings and how to get the best out of it. And as you've seen, many of the functions can achieve the same results. Sony have really been good at giving you as many options as possible for your scenario or situation. Now, there is no wrong or right way to go about focusing. As long as your subject is in focus, that's all that matters. How you achieve that is completely up to you. Don't ever let anybody tell you you're using the wrong mode or the wrong feature, the wrong area or the wrong settings. There is no wrong or right way of doing it. And the best way of seeing how the focus system works inside the Sony 6700 is just going out there and messing about with it, changing all the settings, finding out what you like and what you don't like, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But that now brings this video to an end. If you've got anything at all from it, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment below. And if you want to see further videos on the Sony a6700, let me know in the comments what ones you want to see. Hit that subscribe button, tickle the bell. Oh, and whilst you're here, why don't you check out this video also? See you soon, guys.